Daniel Torres, CR 2016-1599. This is the time set for sentencing. State versus Holly Davis, CR 2016-102-470. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Stephanie Lowe and Elizabeth Binkert on behalf of the state. For the record, the family is in court today.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alan Tabasoli on behalf of Ms. Davis. She is present in the courtroom, Judge.
Good morning. There's a request to have camera of the proceedings still and video. Any objection, Ms. Lowe?
No.
Mr. Tabasoli?
No, Judge.
Cameras may do their thing. I will tell the parties I read the pre-sentence report, its recommendation, the plea agreement, and their stipulations. The defense memo the court will grant because of the nature of the materials. File that under seal. Letters that would be on behalf of Ms. Davis from her husband, family. Many letters on behalf of the victim from her family, friends, community folks, and well-intended folks from across the world. I will make a record, however, that the court believes that it can only make judgment based upon those on behalf of the defendant as mitigating, and those on behalf of the within the scope of victim for purposes of today. Ms. Davis, because of the things I read, does the jail have you on any medicine?
Yes, Your Honor.
As far as you know, did you get the right amount of medicine at the right time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything about the medicine that you've taken, or just how you feel right now, that you think may affect your ability to understand what we're doing?
No, Your Honor.
Anytime you don't understand something, would you please let me or Mr. Tabasoli know? Anytime you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask the question, okay?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Lowe, beside yourself and Ms. Binger, is there anyone else that you want me to hear from today?
Your Honor, I believe that Catherine Hsu does want to address the court.
I'll be happy to hear from her.
Yes.
Yeah. Just give me 1 minute. I'm going to get plugged in. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Our Honorable Judge, we, the Jiang family, have been waiting for this court day for the 2.5 years. Countless nights, our family was waiting for the monster to pay the price she deserved for the inhuman crime she committed. Yue Jiang was a kind, beautiful, sensible, hardworking, and reasonable girl. Yue's father is also a kind and honest person. He is a member of the Lions Club, a charity organized initiated in the United States and is passionate about the public welfare. Parents always want their best for their kids. Yue has always been the pride of our family. When she graduated from high school, Yue said that she was very keen to go to the United States, the country where democracy, legal system, respect for human rights, and education are well developed. She wanted to give back to the community after she graduates. It wasn't very easy for her to pass her English language examination at the very beginning. She worked really hard to get the enrollment letter from the Arizona State University. However, our family had never thought she would be gone forever. Yue Jiang is always a hard worker. And what I heard most often was that her father proudly said that Yue has maintained a record of GPA 4.0. She had been receiving school scholarship every semester. However, after this incident, the one we heard most often was, she said she's returning to Chongqing after graduates. Yue's meaning for our entire family is different from any others. Yue lost her mother due to a car accident when she was only 4 years old, after which Yue became the only reason for her father's life. Loss of Yue had another ruthless impact to her father's life, as he was tantamount to face the death of his beloved wife twice. The murderer not only took away her father's only daughter, but also his memory and promises to his wife, which now cannot be fulfilled. The senseless act of taking Yue from us and denying the positive impact Yue would have made to make the world better goes beyond her death. Yue's grandmother, who had already been hospitalized due to a stroke, but in recovery, after hearing the news of Yue's death, lost the will to live, and she was crying at the hospital every day and could not eat anything. Her grandmother passed away just days after Yue's death. Now, the murderer, Gangshu, keeps lingering in my mind, and it's like I can almost feel how my cousin was suffering and our grief and anger. We want to know why the premeditated murderer can easily take away our cousin's young life in such a cruel and brutal fashion. Yue's tragic death cannot be described in words, and all this is caused by the cold-blooded monster. The cold-blooded monster left a note to her boyfriend before the attack, and she said, "You will see me in the news." After murdering Yue and causing injuries to 6 other innocent people, including 3 kids and an expecting mother, in her blood fist, Davis then fled the scene, attempt to destroy the evidence, and keep claiming herself innocent when her lies evaporated in the thin air. Davis then claimed depression drove her to kill and intend escape responsibility for her deliberated actions and in taking Yue's life. How many sleepless nights did our family wash their face in tears? How many festivals were there we looked at the empty chairs where Yue and our grandmother were supposed to be? Everyone fell in tears and placed their photos in front of us. She was offering us to visit her during our spring festival yesterday, but now she's only in a box. This Tuesday, on the very last hearing, we saw the monster who was dressed up just like a human. All we want to say is, no matter how much you dress up yourself like a human, the inhuman acts you did with your life will not disappear. Your sinful face will not be covered by makeup, by glasses, by nothing. For our family, even the death penalty is not enough to make up for inner pain. As parents in the whole world, if their children were murdered in this kind of situation, what would they ask for? You will never come back. Despite the current results, we are extremely reluctant to accept, but I still hope that the judgment and any judge who may review the case in future will never allow her parole. And that's the only thing we can do for Yue. And that's the only thing we can do for the whole society with our last strength. Please do not let her come back on street. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nobody else wants to speak, correct? I'm getting no answers.
Mr. Tavasoli, beside yourself and Ms. Davis, anyone else that you want me to hear from today?
No, Judge.
Ms. Davis, if you would come to the lectern, ma'am. Would you please tell us your true name and your date of birth?
Holly Davis, 10/1/1983.
On previous proceedings, you pled guilty to amended count 1, second-degree murder, a class 1 dangerous, non-repetitive offense committed January 16, 2016. Based upon that, it's the judgment of the court that you are guilty of amended count 1, second-degree murder, a class 1 dangerous, non-repetitive offense committed January 16, 2016 in violation of Arizona law. I have read and considered the pre-sentence report, its recommendation, the memo that was prepared by your attorney, the letters of support in the victim's oral, written, and audio and photographic presentation. The fact that you've been in jail for 881 days, including today. Ms. Lowe, any restitution information?
Your Honor, one of the victims did have a restitution claim, but I don't think has submitted any documentation, so I'm asking the court to retain jurisdiction.
And we'll deal with that now. Ms. Davis, the way the law of restitution works is if there's a claim and you agree to pay it, I'll just order it. If you don't, there'll be a hearing that you have a right to be present and we would bring you back for, or you can have Mr. Tavasoli handle it. So I'll let you decide which way you want to go.
Yes, Judge. She will waive her appearance at any further restitution.
Ms. Lowe, anything from the state?
Yes, Your Honor. I know that, Your Honor, we submitted a couple of discs and we submitted a copy of the letter, and I know those discs had several photographs of Yue in life. The family brought 2 more photographs today for the courts to see who she actually was as a person. I can't even imagine what it was like for the people at the intersection that Saturday afternoon. You know, they saw a small crash, and then suddenly there's a shooting and another crash, and then the shooter flees to an unknown location. I can't imagine what those people felt like, and I further can't imagine how a family must feel when they send their girl to a beautiful and exciting place for her to go to university, and for that to end up just taken away from them in such a horrific way. The defendant here manufactured a confrontation with a car that was targeted for literally no clear reason whatsoever, other than that the defendant was unhappy with her own life. And she chose to take it out on other human beings. I don't know why the media has constantly called this a road rage case. It's been very clear from the beginning that that is not what this case was about, and that's not accurate. In this situation, this series of acts by the defendant, it's appalling and it's incomprehensible that so many people were hurt so terribly deeply by someone who was just unhappy and lashing out at random people. But one of the things that this case, more than a lot of cases, reminds me of are the painful limitations of our criminal justice system. Because we try to come to a fair and just resolution, and the one thing that we can't do is what probably everybody would wish for more than anything, and that is to make everybody whole again. So in this particular situation, we do believe that the maximum term for this murder charge is appropriate. We considered the willingness of the defendant to plead guilty. We also consider prior conviction, the utter senselessness of her actions, and the egregious harm and the bottomless sorrow that has been caused to the families and to the community involved here. So we're asking the court to follow the plea and to sentence the defendant to 25 years.
Ms. Davis, is there anything that you want to say, ma'am?
No words can express how sorry I am. But thank you for the chance to try. I take full responsibility for my actions and will live with this every day of my life. I will never forget Ms. Jiang. I am so sorry to all those involved and affected by this tragedy. If I could change it, I would. If I could bring her back, I would. If I could take her place, I would. I humbly come to all Ms. Jiang's family and friends in hopes that someday they will find forgiveness in their hearts and ease the pain of this horrible, horrible event. Thank you.
Mr. Tavisson.
Judge, this is a stipulated sentence. Ms. Davis, I did provide for the court, as you have mentioned, the 20-page sentencing memo and the letters from her family. They couldn't be here today, in part because of fear of being accosted in some way, not necessarily by the family, but by others who might have been following this case. And so for that, for those reasons, I have 3 points I'd like to make about this sentencing. First is about the article that came out in the paper. I love freedom of the press, Judge, but I think what the reporter did here was just irresponsible. Creating a cyber lynch mob, basically, for petitions, signatures of people that know nothing about this case. The fact of the matter is, Judge, this case took 2 years to settle. There's a lot of work that went into this case. We not only just negotiations, we did interviews, we reviewed the evidence. We were arguing motions in this case. There's a lot of reasons why this plea came together, and there's a lot of reasons why I think the gentleman that came in here on Tuesday for the hearing and started just talking off the top of his head about the law and accusing the state of misconduct, that was outrageous, Judge. They're very professional. They've handled this very well. I just want to say that the state has been just spectacular in this case. They've been everything we needed. They were there for. They were cooperative. And so I actually commend Ms. Lowe and Ms. Bingert in this case with regard to how that went. Thankfully, as you're aware, Judge, this is a court of law, not a court of public opinion. And I think the right thing was done here. My second point is that today is about Ms. Jiang. Her memory. Looking at her picture, she's a beautiful, beautiful young girl. Her Her life was cut short, and it's tragic. And Ms. Davis is responsible for that. She obviously touched a lot of lives. She obviously had a great deal of love to give. Her family came in from China. That should be noted in the record that their love was so great that they came to advocate on her behalf. Certainly they're in pain. Certainly their comments are understandable. I disagree with the calling of Ms. Davis a monster. She's not that. Excuse me, it's my turn.
Mr. Tavicelli, just address me, please.
Thank you. So I object to that. She's not a monster, Judge. I would like to say on her behalf, Judge, that our condolences to the family, it's very tragic that this young lady lost her life. But Judge, I mean, there's no guarantee of a long life on earth, and there's no guarantee that we'll all be here in 25 years, and that's what we're talking about here. I do believe the plea is appropriate in this case for 25 years, and since when is 25 years a short time? If you think back, if people in the audience think back to what they were doing 25 years ago, some of the people here weren't even born. If you think 25 years in the future, will you even remember this case? I mean, so there's a myth about this whole thing about like reoffending, get somebody like offending and then getting out and then reoffending. That doesn't happen, Judge. The Department of Justice did studies on this, and they find that like people that are imprisoned, incarcerated in prison, generally don't reoffend and they actually keep the peace in the prison because basically they are that's their home. They don't want to have anybody coming in and stirring up trouble. By the time Ms. Davis gets out, she'll be 57 in her late 50s. There's very little chance of her ever reoffending here. As Ms. Davis stated, she's truly sorry for what happened, and she wishes she could take it back. But her life is a prime example of what drugs do. Look at her booking photo, Judge. When you see that, and then you look at her today, you can see she's just a completely, totally different person. And the fact of the matter is, she has had a horrific life. She wasn't allowed to attend school until she was in high school. She was homeschooled by her mom. She's suffered a lot of significant losses in her life, including 3 sisters, 3 of her siblings. She's been homeless. She's been abused. She's been addicted to nearly every type of drug on the street or used such drugs. She's a damaged person, Judge. And the laws should take that into account with regard to mitigation. But because of the way things worked out, she's getting the maximum sentence for second-degree murder, which is appropriate in this case, Judge. The sentencing memo is meant to put all that mitigation in the record, and the letters from the family, all that in the record, just to show the court that there is mitigation there. There's a lot of mitigation there. But under the circumstances, it was appropriate in this case. And finally, Judge, I want to thank you for taking the case. I know it wasn't easy for you to kind of go through all this and have all the emails sent to you, and I thank you for having the courage to do the right thing as well.
Good cause.
No, Judge.
Sometimes people don't appreciate that they've thrown a boulder in a pond, so the ripples go way, way beyond what they ever thought, and that clearly has happened here. I read everything, and I politely disagree. I don't find you a monster, but what you did was monstrous. It was senseless, and it was cruel. So in emotional harm, each of those factors justify an aggravated term. I do acknowledge, as proven, the acknowledgement of responsibility. I try to convey this thought earlier this week, that trial jurors would not have seen the photographs that we see today. We would see other photographs of Ms. Jiang, which would have even further increase the pain of the family who attended the trial. The impairment at the time and your family circumstances I do find as mitigating factors. But the cruelty, the senselessness of it, the emotional harm, I find those factors superseding the mitigating factors, and so therefore it's the sentence of the court that you be sentenced to an aggravated term of 25 calendar years. Just as a legal point to the family, there is no possibility of parole until Ms. Davis has served 25 years, and then thereafter there is a period of community supervision. It's ordered that you pay a $20 assessment, a $13 penalty to the Tempe Police Department, a $2 victim fund fee. The court will retain jurisdiction on the issue of restitution. Pursuant to the plea agreement, it's ordered dismissing counts 2 through 15. Ms. Davis, have you understood everything that we've done this morning?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to seek review of what we've done. You have a right to a lawyer, and one will be appointed for you. You have a right to a transcript, and that will be given to you, but you need to ask for it within 90 days of today, or you lose that right. You'll be asked to sign for those rights and provide a fingerprint. Ms. Lowe, anything else for today?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Tavasoli.
Yes, Judge. There's the car that was used in the offense. The title belongs to her husband. He would like to get the car back. She also has a phone that she would like, because it has a whole bunch of pictures. And
you submit the motion in writing. I'll let Ms. Lowe look at it, and if there's agreement, I will sign it. If there's a disagreement, we'll have a hearing about it.
Well, we generally release property. I think I don't know what the agency's specific procedures are as to the timeline, but they'll release property.
All right. If you don't need me, that's fine. If you need me,
okay. Okay. Thank you, Judge.
We are adjourned.
Thank you, Judge.
What's on document is fine. It's correct. Yeah, I think it should be correct.
Okay.
Okay.